Let's start by adding a SweejAmbienceSound to our level. These are typically used for global ambiences that you want to be heard everywhere. We can overrule them with SweejAmbienceVolumes, as we'll see in a minute, and we can use blueprints to dynamically control layers of ambience using variables, but we'll be looking at that in a later video. For the moment, let's just search the Add Actor toolbar and find a SweejAmbienceSound. We'll get into these settings later, but for the moment let's just assign a sound. So we'll check the sound asset box and we'll assign a looping sound. So I'm going to choose this one, and I'm just going to double click to open up the editor to check that it is indeed looping. It is now. And we'll rename the actor Island Global. Then we can enable volume in the editor. So the nice thing about the SweejAmbience system is that you can audition it all in the editor without needing to jump in and out of the game all the time. So there we can hear fairly subtle exterior ambience. Now what we're going to do is to add another area to our world. This might be a building or a forest, somewhere where you want to override this global ambience with a different sound. Overriding or blending ambiences depends on a system of priorities. So let's check that this global ambience is set at a priority of 0, which it is, and then we'll search for a SweejAmbienceVolume. We're going to put it over here in this forest area, so I'll move over there first. And we'll find the SweejAmbienceVolume, and we'll name it Forest. Now, to define the shape of a volume, we can make some basic changes using the actor's brush settings here. So by default it's a box, but we could make it a cylinder or a tetrahedron, which is a sphere-like shape, particularly if we increase the tessellation. We'll go back to cube. If we go into brush editing mode, then we have much finer control over the shape. So we can select planes, or we can adjust edges, or the position of individual points. For this forest area, we're just going to use a cylinder and increase its height and then its outer radius so that it encompasses the forest area. And now we'll add a sound to that SweejAmbienceVolume. So check the sound asset. We'll add this forest sound here. And again, we'll just double check that it is looping. Yep, this one's already set to loop. Now, as we approach this volume, we want the sound to come in and the global sound to fade out gradually over distance. To achieve this, we need to set an attenuation distance over which this will occur. So with the forest selected, we can see this attenuation distance here. Let's set that to 600 units. And the priority is 1, so this will override the global ambience. Let's open the Ambience Inspector so we can see what's going on. And we'll just dock it here. You can right click here to select which columns you want to see. For the moment, we're going to focus on priority, weight, the resulting level of the sound name itself, and the area type. So in this position here, we're hearing the SweejAmbienceSound, the Island Global. Its weight is 1 and the resulting level is 1. So watch the weight and resulting level as we move in towards the forest and we start hitting that attenuation distance. What you'll see is that because this is at a higher priority, it takes precedence over the lower priority global sound, and as this weight increases, the resulting level increases of the forest and the global ambience resulting level goes down. Now if we wanted to maintain some of that global ambience while we're in the forest, what we can do is select it and change its max weight so that it's capped. So it's never going to go above 0.8, so it's going to leave a remainder of 0.2 for that global ambience. So I've just selected that forest in the Ambience Inspector so we can see it a bit more clearly as we approach. And as we hit that attenuation distance, again the resulting level goes up, but it's capped at 0.8, so we still have a little bit of overlap with the global sound. And we can continue to use these priority and weight systems for other areas of the map. So here, for example, we have a small house with a slightly more bespoke brush that mirrors the geometry of the building, and the same goes for the large house. These both have higher priorities than the global SweejAmbienceSound, so as we enter them, they'll take precedence. Given that they don't overlap, these have both got a priority of 2. They could have a priority of 1, as long as it's higher than the global ambient sound, but it's possible that at some stage somebody might play around with this forest ambience and adjust either its extents or attenuation distance, which could lead it to overlap with this building. So just to be on the safe side, we've given this building a higher priority. The larger house has a back room which has a kind of electrical source and some radiators in it, so it feels like this needs a different kind of room tone to the rest of the house. Now, rather than carving out the brush in even more detail, we've just used a cube brush for this inner room here and set this to a higher priority. So this one has a priority of 4, which means it will override the overlapping large house as we enter the inner room. So let's watch these weights and resulting levels again. So we're in the global ambience, it's got a resulting level of 1. As we go into the large area called the large house, this has got a resulting level of 0.9, and that's because I've capped it with a max weight, so we hear a little bit of that exterior ambience in there. And then we're going to go into this higher priority room, and that has got a cap of 0.6 in the max weight. So we still feel like we're in the house, so we're having some sound of that large house ambience, but we've also got this additional ambience specific to that room. So that's a quick guide into using SweejAmbience sounds and SweejAmbience volumes.